Okay, welcome to Aquarian Anarchy, and this is our election coverage. This is, as I mentioned today when I had my little video on Twitter, we're kind of bumping back everything from here on out one day. We usually record on Tuesdays. We are going to begin recording on Wednesdays because I have a new job and my schedule got a little wonky. So it's just easier for us to record on Wednesday and then release hopefully on Thursdays around noon. It'll go up on YouTube sometime Wednesday night, depending on who's uploading. If it's me, we may not get her done until until Wednesday or Thursday evening. But
it'll be like election coverage.
right,
You may or may not know who wins until the next day or day after.
For sure. But yeah, we want to cover the election and what have you. But before and we do that, and for those of you that are new to the channel, this is Chad beneath down here and Nicco. I think that it's going to show up with him underneath me. Who knows? It's always fucked up. But but at the end of the day, before we get into the election coverage, as best as we can on a Wednesday after the election on Tuesday. This is recorded on the 4th. And as of right now, they still haven't called it. And it is actually too close to, as we predicted it would be, too close to call. So, I'm starting to have some doubts that Trump's going to win. I initially thought that he would win. They might go with Biden. And when I say they might go, I don't mean the electorate. They're not the people that chose this. the people that are actually in charge that,
the selectorate
right, right, for sure. They're gonna choose. But before we get into that, I want to make something very, very clear to our audience and to the audience that has come to support us. When I started doing this podcast, I largely was doing it for practice because I worked for Adam Kokesh and I was trying to hone my speaking skills because I was his press secretary and I needed to be able to talk to people, and I thought practice would be good. But I got into where I really liked doing it. And I also want to say, as I move into the next thing I'm going to say, this is not saying that I don't still support Adam. I do. He runs in 2024. He will definitely have my support, and I'll work my ass off for him just like I did last time. He is definitely the best thing going when it comes to electoral politics. Generally, I don't believe in electoral politics, but like Lysander Spooner said, it is absolutely ethical to vote in self-defense, and that's what I'm doing. If it has no effect, well, then what the hell? At least I'm voting in self-defense, voting against the state. That being said, when I brought Chad and Nicco both onto this program, I knew that there would be a large influence from the group called the Hotep Nation. And I knew that going into it because Chad, when he came on, had already introduced me to Hotep Jesus, and I had looked at Unc a little bit and what have you, Uncle Hotep, for those that don't know. And what the Hoteps are is they are like anarchist-leaning conservatives, really. They're not really libertarian-leaning conservatives. They're anarchist-leaning conservatives. And what I have...
It's kind of like a get out of our way and let us build our own shit and stop fucking with us, which is kind of what we all should be. We do.
For sure. And as this show has progressed, the biggest support that we have gotten has been from the Hotep Nation. Whether we're talking about Hotep Jesus, or we're talking about Uncle Hotep, or we're talking about any of the other wonderful people that I have come into contact with because of the association that we have had with Hotep Nation. So I want to give them a shout out. I want everyone who listens to us, if you're a voluntarist, if you're an anarchist and have not checked out the Hoteps, I strongly suggest you do. Yes, you're going to disagree with them occasionally, but we disagree amongst ourselves occasionally. How is that any goddamn different? And these people...
And if you haven't noticed, there's a whole bunch of people who disagree with us a lot more than we disagree with each other,
Right.
and that's what we're up against.
Right.
If last night was not an indication, I don't know what is.
For sure. So
it's okay to be disagreed with. You know,
Right.
we gotta you gotta take in consideration when you disagree with somebody, you get both sides of the opinion, and that's something people need to start like really taking consideration. Like because we disagree, and like people disagree in politics, but they're threatening to unfriend them and other things along the lines of that. And I just like rubbed my forehead very concerningly, because if that's the way we're going, then sticks and stones are about to start breaking people bones left and right.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. But to finish what I was saying, I agree with both of you. What we have become, what Aquarian Anarchy has become, is the anarch wing of Hotep Nation. I hope that those of you who have found Hotep Nation and come here, or come here and then find Hotep Nation, you realize we are allies in the fight. And I just want to cement, because these guys are already Hoteps. I want to cement that I'm there with you. I don't know if I'm a Hotep. I don't know if I'm Hotep adjacent. I really don't care, because those people have supported us. They are wonderful people, and they are fighting for freedom. And we have, above anything else, if you learned anything in this last election cycle, it is we need to start organizing and coming together. So there's my plug for the Hotep Nation. And again, if you haven't checked them out, go check them out.
Absolutely.
That being said, we have an election-ish still going, kind of, what have you.
All going to come down to Nevada.
Figure this out. Like, this is
Las
a
Vegas
headache.
is going to decide everything.
We've been in lockdown for a good minute now, and y'all are now like getting this shit together. Like, come on. Like the messiness, this messiness just goes to show like maybe you should rethink your politics.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
You should not be this disorganized, especially as a nation who is held to a high standard such as a superpower.
Right. And these are the same people that say without government, we'd have chaos. You know,
chaos because of them. Because of them.
Thank you.
And their actions.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's like our families are dividing, like friendships are dividing because I'm with one person that you don't agree with. My friends don't have to be your friends. My household is a different household than yours. Your kid can curse, my kid can't. Get over it.
right.
The opinions that help the world go around. But if your kid curses, he's a demon child and he doesn't know anything but bad word. So what if my kid drops an F-bomb? This little boy is a great kid with a big heart and he'll help and serve you because of the values I put inside of him. Or because I showed him, well, these words only mean this because we give it so much weight. The fuck?
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the solution, man. We just need to start forgiving a motherfucker. Just start understanding that we're all different. You know, the three of us get along. We have a lot of things in common, but we're different. And you know, stop. This is what the state is doing. And as I predicted and have predicted for a long time, I knew they were going to keep this shit close so that they can use it to divide us. I was telling my wife earlier today, if Trump wins, what they're going to do, well, let's start with Biden. If Biden wins, because he does look like he is the more likely to win at this point, as sad as that is, that a kid sniffer is about to be president. You know, I mean, come on. So
what did de Tocqueville say? We get the government we deserve.
For sure. Or I like Emma Goldman's version of that. We get the criminals that we deserve.
We sure do.
And the thing is, you know, if Biden wins, they've set this up to where the Trump people aren't going to buy it. The Trump people are going to be like, and they're going to get out in the streets. They're going to cause some shit. There's going to be riots. There's going to be problems. And then Biden's going to come with his boot and put it down on the white supremacist Trump supporters. And if Trump wins, then the Antifa is going to go out into the streets. They're going to get crazy. They're going to run around wild, and they're going to come in, and he's going to put his boot down. It is all designed, no matter what, to bring the boot. The boot is the goal. It is not the blue team or the red team. Government is violence, and people need to start accepting that.
It's almost like we have the guardrails, a blue guardrail and a red guardrail, and they're like funneling people to the slaughterhouse.
For sure. And for those people that are freaking out, oh, Joe Jorgensen, blah, blah, blah. I will say again, she'd be lucky if she got 2%. I think I saw 1.8. Mm-hmm. Gee, I'm psychic. You know,
where'd she get 1.8? Not nationally. It was like 1.1, 1.2 nationally.
I thought it was 1.8. So she even did worse than I thought she was going to.
Yeah, and I don't have anything against her. Like she's a nice lady and all that kind of stuff, but that is not what was needed for this particular time in history.
No,
and there was a huge missed opportunity. We've been talking about this for months. Massive missed opportunity when you go with a milquetoast candidate instead of a candidate that is radical and can actually vocally point out the differences between freedom and what's on display in blue and red. I mean, I get like we were talking about before we came on air. When it got to the point where I realized that like Jorgensen wasn't going to win, Kanye West wasn't going to win, I'm at the point now where like I'm pulling for Trump. Like of those two choices, I'll take the devil I know, number one, and number two, there's some of the other stuff that is just there's some
fishy stuff. There's some fishy stuff around Biden's name.
Fishy stuff around Biden. Yeah.
People don't get it.
Yeah, and I like what Dave Smith said. Dave Smith said people are all afraid that they're going to get the socialism of Bernie Sanders through Biden, and they're wrong. They're not. They're going to get the neocon of Hillary Clinton. That's what they're going to get.
I think that they're going to get the communism from China, because he's already had some documents that said, his son got caught up in it. And since politicians can't necessarily get paid that much money, I think he was doing it through his son. And I believe through he's going to sell us out. Like
they all have sold us out. They sold us out.
I was going to say that we've been sold out to China for a long time. That's why they're scooping up land in
Africa, right?
All the federal in the U.S. too. Federal lands in the U.S. in like Idaho, out in the Pacific Northwest and everything.
Oh, so
they're coming in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't have gold anymore, so they got to get something.
All of the ports on the West Coast are owned by China or China-owned subsidiaries. All on the West Coast. They're just like open them doors. Come on in. This is the point that people don't understand. Corruption and the state are synonyms. They're the same thing. There is no difference. There is not a good state. There is not a better state. The state is evil. It is violence. It is that's what it is. What's funny is I started this election cycle off calling myself an anarchist. I said when Trump was elected that I wasn't going to vote unless somebody like Adam Kokesh ran for president. So Adam Kokesh ran for president, and I was like, okay, so I guess I got to.
I'll vote for that.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
So, but. I didn't really fully understand at that point, and this is 4 years ago. At that point, I didn't fully understand what I was saying, because I've had 4 years of learning, and I have been radicalized. I am a radical anarch. I am a radical voluntarist. I believe in peace. I believe in self-ownership. I believe in the rights of humanity to govern themselves. I believe I am radical enough to believe in humanity. And this cult that is the state is causing so much problems. And it is time for the American people particularly, but the world in general, but particularly the United States, to start focusing again on the family. Focus on your community. Bring this shit home. Start getting involved as voluntarists, as anarchists, as hoteps. Get involved in your community. Be a voice for freedom.
Mhm.
Now, you don't have to go volunteer at the local soup kitchen if you don't want to, but be a smiling face of compassion.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be emphasized amongst the communities, especially right now, because it's going to be a really, really interesting couple of weeks because we're shifting from a different age now. It's a completely different age now. Um, so I just really hope that people will pay attention and open their eyes up to the possible the possible corruption that's about to like really
Mhm.
oh it's going to be interesting it's going to be an interesting view in the next like 2 to 3 years. And man, because Joe Biden, I don't like, give that man until after. Yeah, give me 1 second.
So I want to, while Nicco's dealing with that stuff, I'm going to throw out this quote again as we start to talk about, and I know we've said it on this broadcast a dozen times, but it continues. I had to have posted this thing 20 times today because it's absolutely.
It's never been truer than today.
Right.
Like today and like 2000 in Florida. That's about the truth it's ever been.
Decide nothing. Those who count the vote decide everything. Joseph Stalin. You know, if today did not prove that to you, I don't know what to tell you. You know, reading through, there was a article in.
I put a kufi on Joseph Stalin and post that meme with the kufi on him. Hotep Joseph Stalin, telling you that it doesn't matter who voted. The people who vote don't decide shit. Awesome, the people who count it. He was an evil motherfucker, but he was telling you the truth at least.
Yeah, that's a lot of. There's a lot of truth in the evil that they say.
Right.
They like to hide it.
When what was that? What's that thing? Was it Maya Angelou or somebody? Who said when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So sometimes those evil bastards, they will just tell you their playbook because they feel that confident in their ability to get away with it that they don't mind telling you. It's like the old Joker, you know, with Batman, where he's like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna hang you over this vat of acid and I'm gonna go do all this shit in Gotham, and then Batman like finds a way to escape.
Right.
But they feel a certain, like, I don't know if they get off on telling you or what it is, but yeah.
They're real slick with their monologues. They're super slick with their monologues.
Stalin was telling you, like, I don't care what you vote for. I'm counting the votes, bitch.
The 1%, whatever you want to call them, they like to tell us their playbook all the time. And like, what's his name? Said it. Dark
and you're
Winter?
a conspiracy theorist if you believe him, right? Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
the Dark Winter thing. Yeah.
I don't care if I'm labeled as a conspiracy theorist because my logic has been working great for me. When there's something that has breadcrumbs and you know it's been covered up, you don't need to be a detective. You don't need to be a parent. It's just think like, oh well, there's something fishy about that. And you guys have way too much money. You have way too much power. There's been way too much stuff that's been happening, messed up for way too long. I'm not going to trust it. I'm not at all.
For sure. And the whole thing is, what the fuck do people think? You can't hand like a high school kid any power and him not abuse it. So they really think that his dad is going to be handed absolute power and he's not going to fuck around with it. Come on. These are bullies. Every damn one of them. Of course they're gonna be corrupt. Of course they're gonna do the shit that they do. And they do. You're right, Nicco. They rub that shit right in our face. What you got, Chad?
I don't know if y'all can read this. This is my fortune for my fortune cookie. It's too bright. Well, I'll read you what it says. Trump probably wishes he had opened this one yesterday. It says, "You will win success in whatever you attempt."
Right on.
Because that does not appear to be what is happening in the Trump camp right now.
Yeah, but again, it's time to focus down on the shit that matters. Buy guns, buy ammo, buy Bitcoin, buy garden supplies, stock up on food. We are going into a shitty time because, you know, John Locke's right. There is nothing that brings people into seditious commotion but oppression. And we're entering into the oppression stage. So be ready, because I really believe they're going to bite off more than they can chew. And when they do, there's going to be an uprising. And just to be clear, don't use violence. Know how to deal with that. Use your voice, use your mouth, use your words. And
people don't know how to do that.
Right.
People don't know how to do that. People don't know how to squelch that. My prime example from earlier is people are cutting off their friends because vote for Trump. Family members are like getting into fights, and because people voted for or advocated for him in some kind of form or fashion. It makes absolutely no sense for you if you have the right to get so involved in somebody's life in that fashion, I should say, because everybody should. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because they broke it down to sports teams. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And it's the rivalry that's super unnecessary. It's like I was being biased today, but I was in the car with my niece and my sister, and we're driving to the dentist so that my sister can go get her braces done. And she was asking something about Biden winning or something like, or Trump was supposed to get impeached. I was like, yeah, he was. But the funny thing about that is that it was a ploy to just get everybody on his case and to hide something else underneath the rug.
Just like the whole thing with like Hillary was supposed to be locked up 4 years ago. Where'd that go? That she didn't happen.
Yeah. So
my brother had a friend, a really good friend who they used to be roommates and stuff. He when he found out that my brother had voted for Trump 4 years ago, he just said, "We can't be friends anymore." That was it. He's like, "I can't be your friend anymore." It's like, we've been friends for like a decade and we like talk all the time, and you're just gonna stop talking to me because of, and again, it goes back to what I tweeted earlier today. Like, what matters is who you surround yourself with, where you invest your time, energy, your money, your love. Those are the things that matter. And the politician stuff, all that stuff, is just a distraction to keep you from doing that stuff. I want people to really think about this, really consider it. Now, I get it's grifting season. I get that. And I get that, like, I had fun last night, spent 5 hours on the live stream, doing election night coverage and everything. And actually, spoke with for 5 hours straight, spoke with a bunch of people who I don't agree with on everything. But the entire time I was there, I spent my time focusing on the things that we agree on, so that we can work together to solve the stuff that is hitting us all in the same way.
For sure.
And to try to lend my hand to offer help in whatever way I can help to do my part to help build what they're trying to build. But people have spent so much time and energy on Facebook, on other social media, getting really, really angry, really, really frustrated, and panicked and stressed over something that if they had instead invested that time and that energy in writing the book that they've been meaning to write, reading the book they've been meaning to read, or starting to take those pictures that they swore they were going to start taking to get better at photography, or whatever it is, building their little business, working in their garden to make it to where their garden is more bountiful. Like all of these things, if you really think back to like more primitive man and what primitive man spent his time on. It was hunting, gathering, building shelter, making clothing, finding a way to make fire, making weapons and stuff like that. All the things that we should be doing with our time instead of arguing about who they should vote for chief.
Right. For sure.
And that's all we do.
Absolutely, Chad. You're absolutely right. And that, that's the bullshit that what's funny is this past weekend, it was Halloween and I'm a crazy guy and we did voodoo. And we got the spirit of death, G'day, came and talked to us. And his message in a nutshell was all of this fear is an illusion and is a distraction to get you away from love. We need to focus. Life, and he said, people so often, and this is coming from the spirit of death, so often they waste their lives hating a bunch of people, fearing a bunch of people, instead of building up preparation. He said, this is just a layover between one existence and another. And you need to get yourself prepared with love and compassion and joy and happiness and focusing on the things that actually matter. Now, he said, now don't get me wrong, live your life and do the things and make the best of it, do those kinds of that kind of thing, because this stuff is important. But so many people fear, and I think even anarchists and voluntarists fall into this. Stop fearing the government. It isn't about fearing them. It isn't about being angry with them. It is about making them irrelevant. It is about putting them aside. They do not matter. What did the government do for or against you today? They didn't interfere with my life on a grand scale. Yes, I get they took a little piece of my paycheck. They didn't, I get all that. But on a grand scale, I didn't deal with them. Not on a large scale.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, so like property taxes are a thing, and it's a legitimate concern. Income tax, sales tax, those kinds of things. Those are real things. The traffic cops that might pull you over for going 75 in a 70 or a 65 or something like that. That's a real thing, a real concern. But by and large, government lives rent-free in our heads because we're allowing ourselves to be frustrated by it, to, internally kind of complain and grumble about it. And we're not spending as much time as we should. And as I told somebody, I don't remember who it was. I was talking to somebody about how a lot of times when I'm on here, I'm talking to myself when I'm, saying the things that I'm trying to say. I was talking about tweeting. I think it was Felicia Killings. I was tweeting with her. I was like, look, half the time, the shit that I'm tweeting is me talking to myself, telling myself, kind of trying to looking myself in the mirror and telling myself what I need to tell myself to get right. And so similarly, that's what I'm doing here. I think we tend to focus too much on that stuff, and it occupies so much of our brain space, our energy, and our focus, that it causes us to miss things that if we didn't miss them would continue along that continuum of rendering the government irrelevant. And so like to the stuff last night, when Sunny was on, I think we were on with her for like 2 hours at the end. And like, I really appreciate her focus on she's basically taking the opposite approach to accomplish the same thing that Adam was doing. So Adam's thing is dissolve the federal government, dissolve the federal government and return the power to the local communities. And her approach is put all of your time and energy in the local communities and render that stuff. Because like what she said, she's like, I think this was like on the Brown Paper Bag podcast a couple of nights ago. She said, get your shit straight in your local community, and then you can tell them, we don't need you. We got this.
Right.
We don't need you. Stay the fuck away. And instead, what we're doing is we're doing these big national elections, hoping that Savior Trump will save us. And somebody sent a picture of I won't
It's the
name
Messiah
who,
complex.
that they have a picture of Jesus behind Trump with his hands on Trump, and I was like, oh my God, seriously? Man, y'all taking this way too far. Like this Jesus is not guiding his hand every step of the way. Oh my God! Did he put his hand on the bomb to hit Syria? Shit.
Yeah, no, that's something that that people also have to take into consideration. I don't care about that man. I don't know how many times I have to reiterate it on this podcast or tell other people. I honestly don't care if that man. But the thing is that I care about the fact that you guys are willingly voting the lesser of the evil, right? Until you start to go in his bag and that man sniffs and he's a pedophile. Like, if that is not the biggest red flag, because that just goes to show he just treats our youth as boy toys.
Yeah.
If you don't have any better conscious decision on how to treat the future, how to not mess them up mentally, how to make sure that he hasn't said anything that has piqued my interest about doing bettering things for children.
Yeah.
No, man, like that is just like one of the biggest things that just like it's like a screwdriver in your gut and it twists you. And I'm like, I don't care if this man said that he would do this and this and this for Black people. That man mentally messes up children. He pushes he destroys their future. He destroys a life. And he willingly knows that he's got the money and people back it up and hide it all the time. And it's like, it's hidden and people got to do their research for it. That's the fun part. The part where you get to really understand, like, okay, well, am I really going to go through this? Am I really going to invest my time to see? Because if I just hear the information, it's already skewed. There's already somebody's bias in it. There's already somebody's opinion in it. So therefore, I'm going to take it not with a grain of salt, but with face value and walk with it. Like, no. As soon as you hear that, go do your research on both sides, and then that's where it comes from. If you can't find a party that has a middle ground in it, there's Nigerians in Africa marching for Trump. The community, if y'all don't see that, there's something wrong.
Yeah, and
the minorities in this country are voting for this man. Maybe you guys should just pump your brakes a little bit and look around.
Yeah, for me, I think that one of the things that they've done is a psychological ploy. You look at Biden particularly, but Trump fits this as well. And they are some of the biggest pieces of shit this country has to offer. And I think psychologically, when they place them in the leadership role, and let's be clear, it's a fake role. It's not real. They're not actually in charge of shit, but when they put them in that figurehead position and they tell you this piece of shit is above you, that says an awful lot to you and a lot to the American people. It puts them lower than this pedophile piece of shit or this pussy grabbing, lying piece of crap. Either way, it puts you beneath them and it psychologically tells you something.
So yeah, it's kind of that's the ultimate mind fuck, right? It's like, hey, this person's better than you. And it's like, No, it's like way worse than me. Why? Why? Why is he there? Why this doesn't? It's like when you have a really shitty boss. It's like, how the fuck are you my boss?
Right.
You're garbage.
No,
Get the fuck out of the way.
This is the time where Americans should like really take a step back. Like the biggest step
They're
back,
not going to.
a fadeaway step back 3 to like really look at, okay, wait, guys, we just offered the lesser of the two evils as a president.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is the thought, oh well, even if I thought that I had two choices of lesser of two evil, that'd make me like vomit and like pulsate, because it's like, why are we even degrading our society to being okay with these two and being our leaders, being the ones who are in charge of our lives?
Well, I don't know if y'all saw last night when Hotep with it was on during our little election special, but
I haven't seen it yet.
He brought up this quote, and I had never heard this before. Maybe y'all have heard it before. I don't know. Maybe you Marcus, because there's all kind of shit that
Marcus is the quote god.
Marcus has the quotes from everybody from everywhere. But anyway, he was telling Hotep Jesus, he's asking, Hotep Jesus said, "Hey, did you vote?" And he said, "Hell no, I'm not participating in this bullshit." He's like, I know it's a bunch of bullshit anyway, so why would I participate in the system? And I get it. I mean, I was kind of doing the same thing. I just put Kanye West because I wanted to make a statement. I was like, hey, you gave me this card. It's kind of like when I was in my high school, I had to take this class that I wasn't supposed to be taking, and there was like a test associated with it. And I was like, I never wanted to be in this class in the first place, so I just wrote on the test. I was like, I was forced to take this test. I don't care. I don't, So that was my participation in the system. Right. So I did that with Kanye West. I was like, look, I reject this whole premise of this duopoly, and I'm voting for the person who I wanted to give him the numbers that whatever numbers he needs to basically be able to continue. Because I think whether he ever wins or anything like that, or whether he's qualified or any of that other bullshit that everybody wants to try to throw.
Qualified to be a master.
Right, exactly. Well, I'm saying like the way that they declare qualifications. I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I want him to continue speaking to people. I want to continue to hear what I heard in that Joe Rogan interview, because that thing was, it was excellent. And
that was powerful.
I saw somebody who had legitimate compassion for humanity, and who, if you listen to the way that he described his presidential solutions to problems, at no point was he like, I'm going to steal this amount of money from people so that I can pay for this program. He was talking about like reconceptualizing how we do things. And it's stuff that he's already doing on his own. But the quote I wanted to get to, so Hotep Jesus asks Hotep with it, did you vote? He says, no. And he says, I actually credit you with that, because you put this quote on me a while back where you said, if you vote for the lesser of two evils, you become the third evil. I was like, damn, that shit hits hard. And it's true. Like, I never thought of it that way, but it's like you're choosing which implement to torture a baby with. Do you choose the scalpel or do you choose the cheese grater?
Well, whichever don't one say you nothing choose. At all.
But I'm just saying, like, it's like you when you're, it's like there's no way for you to do anything but, like, I don't know, stop whoever it is that is trying to use whichever one they want you to choose.
Well, I have a perfect analogy.
And help the baby escape. That's the option. And if somebody says no, but if you try to do that, then they're going to go with the worst of those two implements. And I'm like, that's not my problem. Like, my problem is I'm trying to stop the baby from getting tortured at all. And that's my number one goal.
We've been choosing villains to be our leaders for the longest of times. Like, do you want the super good super villain, or the one who's in disguise, who's ready to shake your hand, acting like he real cool and all that? Like, No, I don't want any supervillain being like in control of
Right.
where my life can go, because at the end of the day, they're gonna get us into some shit. So how about we come together and try and figure out who or how to recorrect the system, which, you know, that's a whole story in itself. You know, you can't really recorrect a system that such as this texture. Uh, and the people who are in charge of those areas aren't going to give up those positions. Like,
Right.
unless you take it by majority, which is a lot of people, but you know, you just seen that we're at a splits right now. We're at a standstill on how people view the United States of America.
But at the same time, I want to take this to a hopeful place to a degree,
Let's go.
and that is that what they're showing is in all of this is how corrupt they are, and it's right out in front of everybody. You know, this, you can see it. Just, and I want to kind of dive in a moment into this this article from the Federalist that talks about the Democrats are absolutely stealing this election. There's no doubt, and this thing for sure plants it out. And so whether or not, because it is possible that somebody will have officially won. I doubt it, but it's possible by the time that this comes out that someone will have been announced. Like I said, I doubt it. More than likely, that it's going to either go to the Supreme Court or it's going to go through the court system for a while, and we're going to have a replay. But people are seeing right in front of their eyes, all over the country, how this system doesn't work. It just does not work. No matter how you cut it, it doesn't work. And what we need, and this is where Joe Jorgensen failed, and this is where somebody like Adam Kokesh or Vermin Supreme or even Dan Berman could have successfully waded through this mess that we're in. And that is, you have to offer some real difference. And that's what Chad's talking about with Kanye, is that you have to offer something that is real. That's important to begin with. It has to be genuine, a real different set of principles, different set of rules, a different set of ideas. And Jo Jorgensen didn't do that. She presented like watered down statism. And people are like, okay, if I want statism, I've got people that are really good at it. And so I'm going to vote for that. So that's why she did not get 2% of the vote, is because she didn't offer anything good, and she had a shitty team. Her team was shitty. You know, the fact that we couldn't get a response. Adam Kokesh is relatively popular amongst libertarians, and we couldn't get a response from Spike's people about getting back and getting Spike back on Adam versus the Man. Couldn't even get a piss off letter. That says something. Wow. So these people are terrible at doing what they needed to do. And one of the things I said earlier this week was, one of the differences, had the Libertarian Party decided that Adam Kokesh was their candidate, you would have had people like myself, Chad, you would have had people like Elijah, you would have had people just, and more, because we would have brought, what we would have done that Jorgensen did not do to a large extent, is we would have reached out to the Vermin people. We would have reached out, but I know, because I would have been one of the people doing it.
Right. We were already doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
read your thing.
So I want to get into this article. It's from the Federalist. It'll be linked below. And the title is, yes, Democrats are trying to steal the election in Michigan. As of the writing of this, it appears as though the Democratic Party machines in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania are trying to steal the election. I'm just going to peruse some of these proofs. So as reporters and commentators went to bed early Tuesday morning, all three states were too close to call. But President Trump led former Vice President Joe Biden by a comfortable margin, far beyond what had been predicted in the polls. None of the networks called these states because enough mail-in ballots remained uncounted that could swing either way. But Trump's position looked good. Then something strange happened. In the dead of the night, in both Michigan and Wisconsin, vote dumps early Wednesday morning showed 100% of the votes going for Biden, and zero, not a single vote, went for Trump.
I remember looking at it saying like it was going to take like 70% of what was remaining in order for Biden to catch up in some of those states, and then looking at it, and I was like, how the fuck did he catch up already? Like it would, and that was a thought. I was like, it would have had to have been 100% all at once.
Not one.
And I hope someone has actually been like recording, like either screen recording or something like that, where you see the actual vote totals of these states from like whether it was the New York Times or Google had one, and there's another like a 270towin.com or whatever, all these different sites. Because I was watching that stuff and I was just like, good grief. I mean, it went from like 85% reporting to 86% reporting, and Biden made up 3 points.
Yeah.
Like how is that possible?
Yeah, let's put this in quantitative measures. This is again from the article. While everyone is asleep, after everyone went to bed, the Democrats in Michigan magically found a trove of 138,339 votes
for Biden.
Over 100,000 votes. Oh, they just showed up.
So you telling me that these Republican ran places all of a sudden just became Democrat overnight?
Right. Just oops.
Yeah, and also that like the Democrats usually do more of the early voting and more of the mail-in stuff. Like that's what I've been told, is that the Democrats do that more than Republicans. And I was like, I don't think it's like 100-0 though.
No.
It's like 15% would have sufficed. Like a one vote. One.
Right.
All? Like, did we find an underground society civilization that's just been perusing and carousing? Like,
it's the underpants gnomes. Finally, that was this is their way to make profit. This is their way. This is their step 2. Step 1 was underpants. Step 2 was ballot dumping. Step 3, profit.
Right, for sure. And they have a
that
graph.
meme now.
They have a graph of this hitting. It literally is like this. Like this.
Right.
Suddenly,
Hey, look. I finally found Trump's fortune cookie. There's nothing in here.
Right. No shit. But it gets worse than that. It is in Pennsylvania. They just decided in Pennsylvania they're going to count votes without postmarks. Right? Here's your vote for Biden. Here's your vote for Biden.
Don't you have to mail a mail-in ballot?
Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, seriously?
Yeah, that is what the article says. The Supreme Court.
I was driving all day. I wish I could have read this damn thing. Oh fuck, man.
Oh, I'm telling you. Like I said, it's linked below. Yeah, they just you can't make this shit up. One, they don't have to be, if they don't have a postmark, they could literally just write it, put it in a letter, and set it in the room. And
I have like written it on like a graph paper, Biden and crayon backwards. The B backwards, and like, oh wait. Matter of fact, the top of the B is like green crayon, and the bottom B is a blue crayon because I didn't even want to finish it green. I wanted it blue. I was like, screw it.
No, that's not what it's gonna be. What it's gonna be is it's gonna be the same person's handwriting on like 100,000 of them.
Right.
That's dedication right there. He wanted a raise.
Right. Oh my God! Hey, don't post that article on Twitter after what happened to me last night. I don't even know. Like, did you see that shit? That was unreal.
Yeah, no, that was unnecessary.
I had someone tell me that me voting for Kanye West was giving my vote to Trump. Like, it's literally not giving it to Trump. It's giving it to Kanye West.
Right.
Like it's how is that going to Trump? And I was like, by saying that, what you're doing is you're assuming that I was going to vote for Biden, and by me not voting for Biden, it's hurting you, and you're upset because I took a vote away from your candidate that you thought he was entitled to, and I was never voting for Biden or Trump anyway. So me voting for
people
Kanye
are
West
way too
don't got a
entitled.
goddamn thing. They don't got a goddamn thing to do with Trump or Biden. Me where I voted, like it has no impact unless Kanye West wins. The only time it has an impact is if Kanye West wins. It cannot possibly impact the other two because I was never voting for him.
Right.
And that's all I said. All I said was, you said that me giving my vote to Kanye was giving it to Trump. Twitter said I was giving misleading information about voting. It's like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is doing this shit?
Yes,
I actually think that bitch must be the person who went and perused my tweet. She's the one who works at Twitter who blocked me or who locked my account.
Yeah, I mean, and look at what this whole week, dude. I mean, they in essence shut down our Facebook page. In essence, you know, no, I can still post there. I can still do it. Nobody sees a fucking thing. I know, because on the page we have 2,000 followers on Facebook. And I posted some shit and got 21 views. I mean, in essence, they shut us the fuck down and made it to where literally every time on my phone I log into Facebook, every time I have to verify my phone or I have to verify my account. Every fucking
no, they're starting to crack down. So
I had a Twitter account locked. I had like a little boomer white conservative Titania McGrath type. You know who Titania McGrath is? It's like this woke girl who like talks about like 80 million genders and everything, and like if you don't want to have sex with a trans woman, you're a racist or a bigot or something like that, and all this kind of stuff. And it's a joke. It's a parody account. Like this guy is like trying to be as woke as possible, right. And so I was like, oh, I got a great idea. I'm gonna make like a warmongering boomer account, and I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna like subtweet like Marco Rubio and all this kind of stuff. I made that account like a year and a half ago. Okay, it's been a little while since I posted anything to there, but I'll still go check it. And there's actually like I followed a bunch of conservatives, like Ben Shapiro and Marco Rubio, obviously, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm following all those people. I think I only had like 5 followers on that account. That account got locked for suspicious activity. And somebody was saying what they're doing is they're locking accounts that have not been active for a while. And so I think that might be what it is. But I'm just like, dude, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, I literally have people coming to my page, replying to my tweets, and I look at their page. They've never done anything. They don't have any tweets. They don't have any tweets or replies. They're not following anybody, and they might have like a couple of followers or no followers or something like that. And so I'm like, all right, so that y'all are letting that shit fly. But then I have this parody account over here that it's not even doing anything wrong, and you locked it. So I have to wait until I go, and I'm not gonna tie it to my current phone because I don't want to have it knock my main account down because of the phone number being the same. So I'm gonna wait. My mother-in-law's phone is about to become a Twitter account phone because she doesn't have Twitter, so she's never gonna have to worry about it. But anyway,
let me borrow your phone real quick.
Yeah, right. No, all I'm going to do is like, hey, can you give me that code when it comes through?
All right.
All right.
Chad's going to be kicking his feet up like MC Run's house at the end of the show in the bubble bath, talking mess.
Oh shit! Not that bad. No, you were saying something before I went off on my my burner account getting blocked too, or locked. We were talking about Facebook and like stuff being banned and
no, they're starting to crack down on people who basically aren't in line with the Democratic Party. Like if you don't, this is their greatest form of censorship. And I'm like, guys, guys, like Twitter is a platform full, like overzealous amount of like a democratic pressure. And like from my point of view, like it's just overbearing. It's necessary. And I'm like, can you guys just like take a step back, just take a step back? I most definitely deleted it away. And then there's like certain accounts where like if you start to do what Chad does and, you know, go out the norm a little bit, they start hitting you with things you have to verify and things along that nature. And I'm like, I have no time for this. I have no time for it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but I take a step back and everything like that. But
yeah, I'm with you. I just walked away from from Facebook. Just done.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
want.
that's why I came out. I came out of my Twitter timeout and I just went straight to like, look, this shit doesn't matter. Like, what matters is what you do with your family and what you do with your money and your time and your energy and your love and who you surround yourself with. Because I'm done. Like, I'm not arguing with anybody anymore. Everybody, I used to think like it was kind of cowardly to just block people instead of like having the discourse and making it, but like these people are fucking psychos and they will report you and get your shit turned off for something you didn't do anything wrong. You're just trying to have a discussion with them and you're trying to explain your position, and your position is like apparently illegal, or they report you, and then you have to like go explain yourself why it should be illegal to the Twitter gods and everything. And I was just like, no, you know what? I'm going back to the Hotep Jesus method of you say some stupid shit, block, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to just deal with. I'm just going to cultivate and curate and I'm not. I don't like the idea of like an echo chamber, but I'm not going to deal with some stupid bullshit. If you're trying to tell me that when I was never going to vote for Biden or Trump, that me voting for Kanye West is giving the election to Trump, you're fucking retarded, and I don't need to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And so I agree with you completely, Chad. And that's been my method too. I used a similar method on Facebook, and all those people are is just trolls. They're either being
Mm-hmm.
paid. Sometimes I would ask, "Are you a paid troll or do you do this shit for free?"
nobody's genuine. Nobody's genuine with it. Like they're gonna troll you just to get their shits and giggles and ooh, that felt good. That felt like a rush, bro. You
Right.
did nothing for to society. Congratulations.
With it. But to kind of start wrapping up, because we have gotten to our hour, I want to throw
Mm-hmm.
this out. This is another quote. This is not the quote that I'm going to include at the front of this, but I think this matters, particularly as we look at what we're doing moving forward, because I think that the one of our messages is to make real change, not just, I think that using the electoral process can be effective. I think Adam would have done a very good job at doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is ultimately where the direction that's going to set us free. I just don't think that it's going to. It's going to be direct action. But this is the kind of thing we need to focus on. This is a quote from Murray Rothbard. He said, if the bulk of the public were really convinced of the illegitimacy of the state, if it were convinced that the state is nothing more or less than a bandit gang writ large, then the state would soon collapse to take on no more status or breadth of existence than another mafia gang. And that is exactly what I hope people start seeing, is that this is a mafia gang. It is nothing more than a band of criminals. And the more they keep doing this stupid shit that they've been doing with Trump, that they're going to do with Biden, all this stuff just brings to light the criminality of the state. Let them keep proving how corrupt they are, because every time they do, the amount of people that agree with us grows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then to the extent that you have to do it, focus on your local stuff. We had a couple of libertarians running for. We had one running for Senate. We had one running for one of the representative positions. We had a couple of like Metro Council, that sort of stuff, City Council type stuff. And one of our guys was like, he was right in the thick of it, and not like at the top to win, but it was the way it is in Louisiana, kind of similar to California, where if nobody gets 50% plus one in the general election, it automatically goes to a runoff. So the person who finished first had 48% of the vote. The next closest person had 15. It was like 48, 15, 10, 10, 10, 9. There were that many people, at the bottom of that. And they were all like, 10, 10, 10, 9 plus 15. That's a pretty substantial group of people who had a contingent that was behind them. And the leader only got 48%. Well, our guy he was one of the 10s, but he was neck and neck at like 15 before. I think it was maybe 14, 10, 9. Anyway, point is, we almost had a libertarian in the runoff for one of the Baton Rouge, Metro Council spots. And it's a guy I know, Everett Bodion, one of my friends, in the Baton Rouge Libertarian Party. And so, from that, what I gathered is we just need to do a little bit better job next time of getting the exposure out there. The fact that he ran makes it to where if he runs again, there might be, you get a little bit of the benefit of some name recognition, plus the people that he went and saw face to face, you get to see some other people. We're only talking about, I think it was like 1,900 votes to 1,450 or something like that. Right. So this isn't like, you don't have to go meet a whole bunch of people, when only 2,000 people are voting for the guy who finished second. It makes it a little easier. And then if you make it to that runoff, now everybody's like, well, who's this other guy? That was the guy who finished first, but who's the guy who finished second? What if I don't like the guy who finished? Because there's a reason why he didn't get 50 plus one, right?
Right.
Because there were 52% of the people who he wasn't their number one choice. So you lean into that and you go get it done that way. But I think there's way too much. The reason I said that is because I think there's way too much focus on every 4 years, the presidential election, because people see it as like this bellwether for like the direction of the country, the direction of humanity, and all this other kind of bullshit. And really, that is the symptom, and the root cause is what you're doing at home locally.
For sure. And on local tips for the Libertarian Party, as much as I'm irritated with them, and I'm probably not going to get involved, at least in Indiana, because it's a lost cause here. I do have to say that lots of big double-digit double-digit losses for libertarians across the country. Iowa had several people who had like in the 20s. Adam's debate person now, because her name's Mercedes. I don't know if you know her, Chad, but
yeah,
she was running for the state legislature and got I was looking it up, 24.29% of the vote. Now she lost, but still 24.
That's a good showing.
Yeah, that's a good showing. And Donald Rainwater here in Indiana got almost 12% of the vote, which for a gubernatorial election in a hardcore Republican state, that's not half bad. And so
and that's really where you get, if you get like, say you get 10 or 12 state legislators in each state. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a little coalition that the Democrats and the Republicans have to work with, and that the governor, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, have to work with, because that might be the votes that you need. And then we're the people who are like, wait, you want to do what? You want to raise taxes? How much? No, you're not getting my help. And so I'm going to side with, if it's the Republicans who don't want the tax hike, I'm going to side with the Republicans this time. Now, you want to make a new drug law and the Republicans are behind it and the Democrats are against it? Well, I'm going to side with the Democrats this time because I don't want to make a new drug law or whatever the case may be. What I was going to say is, if you start doing that and then you start to build a little bit of weight that you're carrying behind you, now you start to, that can start to build. You can start to develop, have more seats at the table. And then people start to see libertarians in, imagine if the House of Representatives in the US had like 35 libertarians and the Senate had like 8 libertarians.
Kingmaker.
you'd have a chance to actually win a presidency at some point and actually do something that would be more, and I understand that's not the focus of the Libertarian Party, but it becomes kind of the thing that everybody's talking Joe Jorgensen, Joe Jorgensen, Joe Jorgensen, and I would have been the same way if Adam had won the nomination, because I was really excited about the potential of that campaign being heard. But the reality of the matter is, we need more of that grassroots, and that's one of the things I want to commit myself to, especially after talking to Sonny 2 nights in a row about this stuff. Is I need to be more involved with helping my local folks who I've gotten to know now, and helping to do some of the grassroots ground, boots on the ground type stuff that needs to be done to make that more effective going forward. So
for sure, and I think we need to make allies, just like we've done with Hoteps. I think that we also have a secondary alliance with the secessionist movement as well.
No doubt.
And I'm sure that Louisiana has a secessionist movement. I know Indiana does. I'm actually in contact.
Yeah, I need to look into that, because I haven't. I'm not even familiar if whether we do or not. I'm sure we do, but I couldn't tell you definitively one way or the other.
Illinois, I'm not sure about, Nicco, but
I have to get a little more into politics around for local and community. I've preached it to my father, but haven't really took a stand for it. So the next coming few years, I'll just have to bust my ass and really get into it, so that I can just be the example, because there's no way in hell my family is getting out this curse. They're all like hardcore stuck boomers, like boomer generation. And I actually don't give a fuck if I become the black sheep. It's going to be kind of funny, because it's like everybody likes me in my family. And it's like, if I'm going to like spit something to you, I have no malice when I'm spitting it to you. Like, I'm trying to show you a light, but I have to be very careful around dogmatic situations, because that's when I get full of passion and fire and stop giving a fuck about what you say. Listen to what I'm saying, because you sound like an idiot right now. But I'm the little kid, so I have to wait for the experience, so that when the experience comes through, then I will know what I'm talking about, or what they're talking about, not what I'm talking about. So.
For sure.
Cool. Do you have any closing remarks, Nicco, for this most important election of our lifetime that is not behind us like we thought it might? Well, we didn't think it was going to be. But
Biden win, Trump win. We both sit like this. Like, if you've watched the YouTube Cabernet YouTube video, he said he didn't care. Like, this is Marcus like really switched my head on, because I was like punched in the gut, and I'm like, wait, why am I feeling like this? I don't give a fuck. Because we have a right and we have a duty. If the other 10,000 people aren't going to throw the rocks, then let's start throwing the rocks. Like, this glass castle should have came down a long time ago. And the fact that people are throwing the rocks at each other, that's not going to end pretty. So just lead by example. Our best bet is to lead by example, and lead with our voices, and keep having burner accounts on the side, because we're definitely gonna need them. We're gonna need those, man, because
that is no joke.
It's because look, I don't have time for my personal account to be tarnished and lit on fire. So I'm gonna have multiple other accounts that aren't gonna be burner accounts. They just gonna be the accounts where I don't have to worry about, oh, it got banned because you guys got your panties in a bunch and freedom of speech isn't real anymore. So it's like not on those platforms. That is it. Freedom of speech is not a thing. No, and nobody can tell me no otherwise. But until we take control and change those platforms, and we have them, there's about to be some 3 types of internet in the next like 5 coming years. It's going to be the above ground internet, and then the mainstream internet, and then the below ground internet. Like, and we're going to be a part of that. We're going to be a part of the voices that aren't going to necessarily be agreed with until you see my vision. Like, I understand you want us to see your vision, but I've seen how that played out, like for 47 years and then some, you know, and then we just saw how this played out for 4 years. So at the end of the day, just take your history. History is a big point and that we've all strayed from. Like, let's go back, look at your history, see what happens, plan out for your future, and live in the now. When you live in the now, if there's something that catches your eye, do it. Take care of it, take it, do it in fruition, because there's no time for us to procrastinate on any manner, none whatsoever. We have to really start stepping over some heads. And we don't have to step on toes, just step over heads and keep our heads low at the end of the day, because I don't give a fuck what the next person says. I came down here to do something special for me and myself and I. I apologize that my lines and viewpoints don't align with yours because of the certain the information that I get. Like, I'm not saying that you don't have a right opinion in this matter. I most definitely see where you're coming from, but how about you drop your ego for a second and try and see where I'm coming from? Like, just everybody, and what Marcus said, the biggest thing that we need to focus on right now is love. It's not division, because we've been divided for God knows how long. Like, everybody just needs to take the stick out their ass and just get in a kumbaya circle and just for real, just calm down. So yeah, those are my closing remarks. Everybody just do you. Just do you.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Just live your life.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
I'm with you, man. Yeah, hold your family close, and like when you meet people in the street, when you see people outside that you don't know them, meet them with a smile, meet them with compassion, because there's some shit that's coming that is not going to have a whole lot of compassion in it, and it's going to be the people who are willing to drop the arguments and drop the fighting just long enough to let people see our humanity, so that we can stem some of this potential for like bloodshed and like chaos and ruin that they think is anarchy. And like we need to show them, like especially the three of us, like that we need to show them that this is not what anarchy is. This is what the state does to people. This is what the state pushes people to do to each other, because there's so much pressure that the pressure relieves itself in some weird ways and some destructive ways. And it's our job and our responsibility to to be above that, to be better than that, and to greet people with love and with compassion and with generosity, and to try to de-escalate that stuff, so that it can become a point where we realize, like, look, hey, I'm with you. Like, there's some fucked up shit going on. Let's work together to try to make it have less of an impact on us. I'm with you in trying to lessen that. And I don't care what potential differences we might have on any variety of different issues. The one issue that I want to connect with you on is our humanity. And that's the thing that's the most important. That's what we've got to focus on. And while you're at it, go buy this shirt in the store, or go buy one of the other shirts that Marcus has designed in the store. You're here, go get some merch. This is a great shirt to wear around right now. And then hopefully it'll get people to ask you a question, or get people to ask you questions about what does that mean? What I don't understand. And then you have a chance to explain to them.
Wait, I came up with the perfect solution. Perfect solution, boys. Let's just start a zombie apocalypse. Everybody will stop their quarrels and bullshit, and they'll focus on the zombies. Like, something out of the ordinary needs us to put our petty differences aside. Like, I don't want it to happen. I don't need aliens dropping down like and obliterating us. I just need something for us, like, really, like, get together and just like make us realize this, like, oh wait, we have a lot more in common than we have like in difference. I'm sorry, guys. Like, that's all I need. That's all I need from people. But that's
for sure. So I guess for my closing remarks, I'm going to leave this with the master, Lysander Spooner. And this is his take on elections. And I couldn't agree more. Lysander Spooner said, "A man is no less a slave because he is allowed to choose a new master once in a term of years. No matter what these idiots," that's the end of the quote. No matter
I was
what,
going to say, I don't remember that part.
yeah, no matter what these idiots chose, whether they chose a red piece of crap with corn in it or a brown piece of crap on some kid's shoulder, I don't care which piece of crap they chose. It just
Why is shoulder?
because it's Biden. but I don't care which one they've chosen. They've chosen a tyrant, and it's time to end tyrants. So this is Aquarian Anarchy. I hope you've enjoyed this. There will not be a Anarchy After Hour this week because it's been a tiring week. I look forward to I look forward to coming ahead. We've got some good guests coming. Among them, Jessica Sentman, and who isn't confirmed yet, but is likely, and Dan Berman, who ran for Libertarian president, and Taxation is Theft Berman. I also look forward to, again, strengthening our ties with our allies, whether they are our Freedom Family with Adam Kokesh, or our Hoteps, or are the secessionist movement. We're bringing people together, and we're bringing them together in freedom. So stay free, my friends. Peace.
Oh wait, subscribe to our Patreon. I'm broke. No, just kidding.
For sure.
Yeah, bring the patrons. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the
Share
bell
some
icon
love.
and
Share
the
some love.
notifications, all that good stuff. Hit those likes too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like and subscribe with that bell button. You know, you gotta support for your boys. We'll be out there for you guys whenever.
That's right.
Look for us on Anchor. Subscribe there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Love you. Stay free.